It's Wednesday, March 19th, and I have a ton of things that I want to try and cover today, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Just for starters, I've been gesturing a lot lately because I'm wearing these ridiculous nails. I don't know if you can see them, but they're completely absurd. They're pretty tacky, but they're kind of fun to wear because I'm notorious for being neurotic, and I pick my nails. Picking seems to be the thing that I resort to when I'm like stressed out or nervous or anything like that. So it's kind of fun as a nail picker to have long nails. I mean, relatively long nails. And the reason I'm wearing these is because I did a short film yesterday. I haven't been on camera in front of the camera in quite some time, and I had a blast. It was really fun. So anyway, so I did that yesterday, and then another thing I did was to go down to the county courthouse and change the address of my DBA because it was at this old address. I thought it had been changed because I called about it and it hadn't been changed, and so I found that out as I'm doing my taxes, and I have a corporation and a DBA, and I want to dissolve the corporation and run everything through my DBA. And anyway, so I went down to the county courthouse, and changing the address of your DBA falls under the category of an amendment. Any amendment, no matter what it is. I mean, you could literally say, I want to put a dot above the I on my name. It costs $120 to amend your anything, your DBA, your corporation, whatever. Which I just thought was such a racket, because it's like, I'm changing the address, that's all I'm doing. Is it really worth $120? But, you know, you have to do it because, you know, they have to be able to find you. So I did that reluctantly, and so that was good. But I also recommend, if you're going to the county courthouse, go first thing in the morning, because the line is ridiculous. It's like out the door and down the steps. It's totally nuts. I also realized it's Easter on Sunday, which totally took me by surprise. So happy early Easter, everybody. And happy former St. Patrick's Day, which was last Sunday. I'm so oblivious to holidays. So things that are happening in New York. There was the annual marching of the elephants last night at midnight. Every year, Barnum and Bailey and the Ringling Brothers bring their circus animals into the city for their big show, and I think it's the 138th anniversary of their show this year. And they marched their 7 elephants and 15 horses and their trainers and their ringmaster through the Queens Midtown Tunnel last night at midnight, and I really, really am sad that I missed it, because I only heard about it this morning, and I was like, oh man, I would have totally been there with my camera. But you can still see pictures on Flickr. If you go to Flickr, I'll post a link, but if you go to Flickr, I'm sure new things will be popping up all day. You just hit in like Elephants New York or Elephants Midtown or Tunnel, whatever. I'm sure you'll find stuff. Outside of that, I also heard about the Plaza Hotel having opened up, I think back in February, at the end of February, they opened up the new Palm Court restaurant, which they have there, and this cracked me up, because, you know, you get a harpist, some, you know, tuxedo-clad waiters, some gaudy decor, and canapes, scones, and tea, of course. Their high tea there for 2 people is $172, which blows my mind. I don't know who's spending $172 on tea, but awesome, good for them. Maybe one day I'll do the same, but that just seems so over the top. I love high tea, and I've done high tea in some very nice restaurants around the world. I've never quite gone for the $172 mark, but, you know, maybe someday. And then the last thing in New York that I wanted to mention is at the American Museum of Natural History, there is this exhibit that opened up last April, and it's called Beyond, and it's like 30+ images from space, some really extraordinary images, and it's displayed in the IMAX theater, IMAX gallery rather, and that exhibit is closing on April 6th, so if you haven't gotten to see it, I recommend going before it closes. And I'm one of those people who has not seen it, and I've heard all about it, so I will be going before it closes. And if you don't make it, I will hopefully be able to take some pictures and further video blog about that later. So then, what's happening in the news? I got my issue of New York Magazine recently, and on the cover, I have to say it's a pretty brilliant cover. Elliot Spitzer, brain, pretty genius. However, I just don't care anymore. Like, I've heard so much Elliot Spitzer stuff, and I was, my girlfriend Rachel actually texted me whilst I was in Peru and told me what was happening, and at the time I was like, oh my god, and I was totally into it, and I was reading all about it, because we got this condensed New York Times in our hotel room every morning, and it was great. And now it's just like, alright, more of the same, and the whole issue seems to just be dedicated to, like, the sort of over-the-top taboo aspect of his sexual life. And you know what? Someone's sexual life is their sexual life. I really don't care, as long as they're doing their job, whatever. That was my argument with my mother over Clinton, but that's another story. So, so anyway, outside of that, I was also reading online. I'm a big fan of Wired magazine, and I was reading some of their headlines online. And one of them was, I can't remember exactly, but I'll post a link. It's something about how Apple did everything, got everything right by doing everything wrong, something like that. And the title caught my attention because I actually recently finished this book called Mindset: The New Psychology of Success. This is a Carol Dweck book. She's a professor at Stanford, psychologist, and it was an interesting book. I actually really enjoyed it. You know, I read through it. I got it actually at the airport going from San Francisco back to New York. And I enjoyed it enough to, you know, highlight fairly large passages. Though I must say, within the first couple of chapters, you've gotten the whole book. I mean, it's very redundant. She sets her argument out and basically repeats it through various examples over and over again. But the point is worth making, so it's it got 4 stars on Amazon, and the basic premise is that there is 2 types of people, 2 types of mindset, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset person sees the world in sort of failure, success modalities. So basically, their world revolves around this idea of judgment. They're either going to succeed or they're going to fail. And then the growth mindset sees things as growth. Everything is an opportunity to grow, and they embrace failure rather than shrink from it. So they actually, over the long term, succeed to a greater degree because they don't shy away from challenges. Whereas the fixed mindset, if they don't know that they can do it perfectly, they'll shy away from it. I am completely guilty of that. So, you know, I'm trying to adapt. But it's a good book. And particularly, I think, really interesting for teachers. There's a whole section in here about teaching and the way to cultivate a growth mindset in children, which I thought was really, really interesting. And it's a good book. So I think that's pretty much it. The last thing I would say is I was going to do like a word a day. I love the English language, even though I have not the greatest grasp on it, but every day I get these emails with like Garner's usage tips or vocabulary vitamins. That's what they call them. And I rarely have the time to read them, but today I sat and read one, and let me pull it up here. Today seemed kind of timely because it was the word expatriate. And expatriate means one who has left one's native country to live elsewhere. Also one who has renounced allegiance to one's native country. I'll never renounce allegiance to America because I am American, even if I'm first generation American. But I am going to be leaving the country, it looks like. And nothing is set in stone yet, but as I mentioned in an earlier blog post, for career reasons it looks like I will be relocating across seas very far away. And but it's a really extraordinary opportunity, and I'm not going to say too much about it because I don't want to jinx it, but if that happens, that will be happening in May or June. So if it does happen, as things progress, I will most certainly blog about it and take lots of pictures and keep the information flowing. So that is it for today.